Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Billy on the Blog. Today we're actually going to focus on hot hatches. It was a comment in one of my previous videos and I thought it'd be very interesting because it's one of my favorite car classes. So we'll get started in that. But before we go into that, I'd like to say just if anyone has any comments, any ideas, anything they'd like me to talk about, please feel free to put it down below and hit the subscribe button if you like the content and and the like button. It really helps me out. So we'll just kind of jump in what we have scheduled for today on hot hatches. Obviously we'll always start with going through cars and bids results. I actually saw a Golf R the other day go through auction. It was actually this blue one, which was the same blue as mine. I love this Mark 7 Golf R GTI. They're really nice cars. They're super nice to drive. I think this is my favorite color, is my color, so I might be a little biased, but this is a 6-speed car, less than 20 grand, all-wheel drive. You can get 300 horsepower out of them really easily, and they're just really nice car. They're well put together. They drive fantastic. This one has 63,000 miles for 19 grand. Um, for a daily, for a fun daily, this is really nice. It doesn't get that good of mileage, to be honest with you, or it could have just been me, but I don't think I ever averaged more than the low 20s for it. But that could just be user error. Um, and I mean, looking at a lot of listings here, you can get these for less than 20 grand, 19,000. And I would recommend these more than the GTI counterparts because they will hold their value better. Whereas like a GTI is going to become a worthless car. Like you look at Mark 4s, Mark 5s, I mean, they could be had for pennies. Well, the Golf Rs and like the R32s, even the Mark 6 Golf Rs, I mean, they still, not worth much, but at least 10, 15 grand for a decent one. So, and this is a car that you can put a ton of miles on and just enjoy it. I got mine to almost 100,000, and I think the only thing I ever had to replace was actually the rear diff, but that's a long story for another day. Not to compare this, um, there's been a lot, around 19,000. It seems like they're going great. I really like those wheels. Wow. So let's see cars.com for a Golf R, not a GTI. A little slow here today. Apologize about that. Let's try to get it figured out here. Um, Come on. I think I have it to set all miles from, so it's a little slow getting all the info, but we will get there. Like I said, Mark 6 Golf R, they're still 10, 11, 15 grand at some points for a nice one. Let's try, 2015 plus for the Mark 7. Wow, yeah. I mean, even their asking is right around 18, 19. I didn't realize these had gotten that cheap, to be honest. A few years ago, these were almost 30 grand cars just because I guess everything was like that. But 20 grand, I mean, this has, you can look at the front, automatic cruise control, ACC it's called. No, these ones have a little more miles on them than the cars and bids listing. So, and I don't expect them to go for this, but go for a little lower, it seems like. But um, a lot of good value there. Let's see, bring a trailer, and we see similar. So across the board, around 18 grand, 18,000 right here. So obviously the older ones are pretty big money there. It seems like not big, However much 17,000 is for that car is probably decent. The colors, I've seen that the color does make a difference. Like this weird green. I mean, I don't know if I would like that in a daily, but it brings big money. Uh, um, let's see what else. Yeah, about 19,000. So it looks like, cars and bids, cars.com, bring a trailer, similar references, but great cars nonetheless. Golf Rs would highly recommend. All right, so going on to the next car now. I know we said we are going to do hot hatches, but I see this beautiful GLC63 that just sold on 10/29 a couple days ago, and it was low 30s. I mean, it to me that seems like great value. Has a bit of miles, almost 100,000 miles, 96,000 miles. Um, but I'm wondering if this is a strong result or kind of in line. This one obviously had some big wheels. I think even carbon brakes, which would be crazy in this. Um, but really nice blue. This honestly is kind of a hot hatch. I mean, a hot little SUV, which in my opinion drive much better than the really big ones. I think this has a really aggressive stance to it with the little fender flares there, and obviously it has AMG's bi-turbo V8 that I mean they put in everything, but I mean this 30,000 mark, this in like a C63 is probably the most attainable way of getting that engine. And yeah, I mean, I think this is a really nice looking car. I think for a daily, which what a hot hatch would be, this is very compelling for 30 grand or so. Um, so let's see. I mean, let's put up cars.com. I already put it in here, and you can see that, you know, 50,000 mile one, 37 asking. So that result is actually lower than asking for similar mild cars at least. Some that obviously don't really look as nice. Obviously, this look kind of boring and crappy, but um, still has the engine, still has the performance. No big wheels, not cool color. So be it. You can get the coupes, which I've never really liked the coupes. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was always just like a weird little fad that kind of stuck. But yeah, these are high 30s, so this is a comparatively kind of weak result for a much nicer looking car, so it seems. Wonder if it had any accidents or something like that. Cherry wheels, man, those gotta be expensive. Oh, it was a lemon law. Okay, so that's kind of why it could have been lower, but um, obviously has so many miles on it. So, uh, oh no, it's a lemon squad. Okay, a PPI report that was included in the sale, so not a lemon law card. Okay, a lot of good history. So this is a clean car. Wow, a real clean car. Good condition, dusty, steering some wear and tear, one key fob, no pending codes or anything. So seems like a solid car for a really nice price. Bring a trailer. What do we got here? GLC63, 32,000 just this past month or two. Um, no reserve 2019. And I mean, this looks pretty nice. Very hot hatch-esque. It's just a little bigger, but not too big like a full-size SUV. Um, yeah, so let's see. How many miles? 84,000 miles. Still the 4-liter V8. The bad part is, these aren't stick. So you are kind of giving up a little bit there, but I've actually driven one of these, and the dynamics is really, really good. And if I hadn't gotten the Alpha, this would be on the list. I didn't know they were honestly going for this little. Obviously, the Hot V twin turbo setup that is just gone off and just been a great power plant and very reliable power plant, really. So, um, yeah, and it seems like low 30s are where they're at. Obviously, cars.com seems to be asking a little more for them, but that's just asking, right? Those will sit on there until who knows when they sell. And it looks like Bring Trailers and cars.com is relatively in the same stratosphere with that. All right, so let's see what other cars we can find here. Um, oh, very nice looking Supra, 43 grand only. Okay, I wonder if it's a swap if that's the case. A hot hatch GTI, very similar to the Golf R, but um, I mean for 18,000, I would have just got a Golf R to be honest. Let's see, nice M3. These are big money, like well not big money, but 40 grand still. I mean I feel like they've been for 40 grand for the last 5 years at this point. Let's see what we got. No more WRX hatch, although I hear they might be coming back. Um, we're gonna try a true hot hatch now, maybe like a Focus RS. Let's see what's sold recently. RS4 Avant. Obviously, these are big, well, big money, 50 grand for a 20-year-old car almost, but kind of unattainable. So we'll go something more realistic for like what I would call the common man. See a couple like a Mazda Speed 3. Honestly, these I would be afraid to touch on the used market since they got modified so badly. So um, we won't look at that. We won't look at that. We'll see if there's something newer. Dun dun dun. All right, so I found the third hot hatch just finished recently here. It's 2017 Focus RS. Obviously, these are the all-wheel drive 2.3 turbo engine, 6-speed Focus economy car Focus made into not so much an economy car. All-wheel drive, 6-speed is just like the Golf R. So I think these were all direct competitors, especially 2015, 2016 when they all started coming out. This one is seen as the less grown-up version. I feel like the more high school, college, young kids car. I would have loved to have this in high school, but obviously these were quite expensive back in the day. And they're going about 30 grand. I mean, I feel like that's expensive, but obviously this is a 38,000 mile car, so very low miles. And then, this one has a little more miles, 56,000, but much lower here. I wonder if there's some sort of modifications to it. You have to be careful with modifications on these because, like any used cars, like you're and I don't buy used cars actually from dealers. You want to buy from a person so you can essentially interview them and see what type of person they are. I have my Alfa Romeo. I bought that from actually a veteran. Shout out to our veterans out there. And he was meticulous about maintenance, did everything on time, used good stuff, and essentially went to the dealer for everything and on time. So took really good care of that car, and it really shows. And it has been problem free for me for just over 45,000 miles. So um, you know you have to be a lot more careful with these cars because obviously they're made for younger individuals, and you don't want someone that just beat on the car and was bouncing off the rev limiter and just doing crazy your stuff with the car. So that's where you have to be a little more careful on these modifications. Probably hurt it a lot, and in my eyes, you know, seeing a car that's heavily modified would, you know, obviously this doesn't seem too many modifications, but any modifications I think would, oh, this has a built engines and a rebuilt transmission, which I mean, for it to need that, I don't know that you have to be careful with that because obviously you rebuild an engine, you don't know who rebuilt it, you don't know the condition it was. So that's probably why this one was a lot cheaper. So not really a Cars and Bids fault right there, but the market will kind of show that it seems like these are low 30s cars, mid high 20s for some other ones. This one's pretty cheap too in a blue that I really like, but you can see this one has modified wheels, a big intercooler, 80,000 miles. Oh, and a manufacturer buyback, so like a lemon law car. Um, I actually have some miles. That's probably not too much to worry about, but it does affect value. So if we look on cars.com, we'll see that low 20s are where the asking price for high mileage ones are at around 100,000 miles or so, which is a lot of car for the money, honestly. Especially and for someone that like kind of wrenches on the cars themselves, that'd be good. I mean, low 23,000, so pretty low. I think even lower than uh, asking them what Cars and Bids got. So I think Cars and Bids is a little more expensive for these cars, and the sellers are getting a little more, which is refreshing to see, right? It goes right along with their claims. And then comparing to Bring Trailer, we'll see. I think this blue one is a really good data point. No reserve. I don't know if these were actually stock wheels or aftermarket wheels, but they seem to fit the car pretty well. 55,000 miles. Clean car, very, very, very clean car. Should have probably cleaned the mats a little better, but yeah, no issues, no accidents or anything like that. So what did it go for? 24.5. So this seems like a nice deal. So Bring a Trailer is really seemingly underperforming here in terms of what they're doing. They're more in line of what Cars.com is asking, where Cars and Bids seem to um, get a little more. I mean, even this manufacturer buyback, 21,000, or I'm sorry, no, this one. So this one with the I don't know what just happened there, but this one with the different engine, the rebuilt engine. So Cars and Bid strong here, and honestly, I think all three cars would be great cars. I think the Golf R is my pick and my favorite hot hatch. I am a little biased there, but it does everything so well. It can be professional when you need it to be. It doesn't look like a boy racer type car. It is just as fun. It's very nimble, and with a 6 speed, you can have a ton of fun with it. Uh, Focus RS a little more raw, but also a great car for most people. Um, and then I put the GLC63 in there because that's really interesting. I mean, a 30 grand, similar to the Focus, like the really nice Focus RSs, you can get a little bit higher mileage GLC63 with that huge power. So at that point, I would consider it if you're in a city, you can't drive stick all the time, somewhere in that situation. But and then for these cars, they're readily out there and you can get them. So I think overall, the sites don't really have that big of a difference between it, except for the Focus RS. It looks like Cars and Bids pricing was a little higher there. So thanks for joining me, everyone. We'll talk in the next episode, and if anyone has any input or ideas for what they'd like for me to talk about, just put them down below. Thank you.